office, big blue eyes, and she's like super bubbly.
Which office? Oh, in
Redstone.
And no, she's not
Yeah.
a scrawny.
oh, the one that's always.
She's not the scrawny one?
Yeah,
She
She's not
has that
the
problem. Oh, yeah,
skinny
yeah.
one. She's not the very, very skinny one.
that's Paula.
I should know these people, but
Paula's also sort of the school nurse, and she's very petite. Like, super
oh yeah, she always sits like on the left side.
Yeah.
And then
Closest to
Stephanie
the
is on the right.
Yeah, she's the one who called you that
Oh right. Well, it was only because they had misscheduled me. I teach at his school for the before and after school younger brands. And one day they scheduled me when it was parent-teacher conferences, and it's like, I've got all these kids, and they are not supposed to be here, and I'm not supposed to be here. So it's big chaos.
Lucky you were there.
Yeah.
That's when you just take volunteers.
petite.
All right. So I'm also recording this, so you'll notice I'm going to look at this and that and everything else, because I have some people in the UK and some other people that are watching this, but some people on different time zone. So we'll see how it all works out. I don't know. First time doing it this way. But I am super excited about this because, obviously we talk a lot about our shakes. We talk about nutrition, but not always do we get to really dig into like what healthy cooking is and how to make healthy dishes. And also a lot of people were talking about just the holiday season being challenging for that specifically. Like they're having friends over, they're going over to the house, bringing something, and they don't know what to bring and how to make it healthy. So the one thing, I was talking with the friend earlier, I don't know, we'll see if he's here, but he's like, well, I'm not going to be going to a lot of parties or entertaining. I'm like, well, that's not just what this is about. Like, you can take any of these ideas and make them part of what you do in general. So I wish I knew why this is offset on the screen here. Mine looks perfect. We'll do that. Okay, so results recipe is pretty simple. We always talk about it, but 20% fitness, 80% nutrition, but 100% mindset with zero excuses. And so as we, talk about the holidays, really focusing on keeping them healthy, we don't have to ruin it because of a few simple holidays. You'd consider Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day, 5 days of the holidays. So if we just get a little bit creative, we can make all of it amazing and healthy. And so, when we talk about the summer too, it's not that far away. Like, I know we're in the, well, it doesn't feel like the middle of winter, but theoretically, seasonally speaking, the middle of winter, and just getting ready for the summer right now. Like, everything we do, everything we eat is all in preparation for that too. So I know you all know the program, but doing our 2 shakes a day is only part of the gig. Doing our tablets is only part of the gig. If we don't eat correctly the rest of the time, like I loved you sharing about the healthy Mexican food, because I do have some clients that they do their shakes and they're like, oh, I'm doing my shakes, but I'm not losing much weight. And then the rest of the time they're eating poorly and they're drinking beers and they're out, and it's like, okay, so still the shakes are only part of it. And, so we always start with that in our core nutrition, but then adding healthy dishes into everyday life and making them realistic and sustainable. The same kind of thing, just like the shake, super simple and easy. Making healthy food can be simple and easy, and it can actually be really fun for the kids, finding stuff that they like, creating with them. Once we kind of go through the principles and basic techniques, it's really powerful. Yes, sir?
Is sushi healthy?
Sushi's very healthy. So you love sushi, huh? Or you better get a job so you can pay for sushi.
Right?
But it will be fun as we go through this for you to come up with ideas that'll work for you. And my intention with this is not to teach recipes. Because when you've gone to cook a recipe, how much does it cost you to go take a recipe to the store and make it?
$200.
Often a lot. Because you have to buy spices, and you got to buy, like if it calls for salmon, you're buying salmon, but if it's not in season, it might cost you more. If it, if it calls for an ingredient that's not on sale, and it isn't seasonal, it makes it really hard. So I want to teach you ideas and techniques and theories, because then you can cook anything healthy. You can cook anything that's available and on sale, just however you want, and it makes it so much easier. And over the years, my background, just so that is in the restaurant business for over 15 years. I had a chance to work under some amazing chefs. I was a little more on the front of the house side, and they taught me incredible things. And just learning from them and how to make it healthy and watching what they did and shifting a few things has been the key to this success. So we all have a meal plan. These things will layer in, and then, of course, results. And these are all part of doing some shakes and eating clean. And you guys see them here all the time. You know a lot of these people, so it makes it fun. Seeing their faces always up on the wall and everything else. But, all right. So these are some basics. And this is really where we started with the basics. Just simply a little bit of creativity, a little bit of inspiration. Some people use Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, like start with that. And even any cooking magazine doesn't have to be healthy to get inspiration of like kind of what you want. And then when we apply healthy techniques to any dish, we can make healthy dishes. And then basic ingredients, things I always have, and you just don't want to run out of: salt, pepper, chicken stock or chicken broth, some granulated garlic, and then every time great sauces are on sale, I just buy extra. I just buy extra of the things I like. They're low calorie and delicious. It makes it easy. So shopping smart, this again is where a lot of it begins. It begins shopping economically and being focused on that. And this is the way that I work the store and what I get where. So I always start in the meat department and the seafood area. Now it depends on what store I go to, determines what kind of seafood I buy. A lot of shops I don't buy seafood at because I just don't trust how quickly they're going through the product or everything else. I buy more frozen seafood because I know what it's going to be like than I do fresh at any of those stores. Like Sam's Club, I buy a lot of frozen things if I'm buying it from there. If I want to spend the money, I'll go to Whole Foods, and I'll buy the good stuff that I know they're flying through, that the quality is really good. The meat department, I buy a lot of chicken, ground chicken, turkey, lean ground beef, lean things like pork tenderloin, and I always shop with what's on sale. Like anything that I end up making starts with just buying what's on sale. And there's always something good, especially I go to Sprouts most of the time, and there's always something fun. And then when I'm buying seafood, I buy what's in season, if I'm buying fresh. So I'm not just buying something that's not in season. Like halibut's only in season in the spring, and in the early summer, that's when I buy it. I don't buy it the rest of the time because it just doesn't make sense. So produce department, same thing. What's seasonal? Like there's so many great things when you get them at the right time, like citrus. When you get it at the right time is amazing, but other times it's like, apples, you get them at the right time, amazing. So tomatoes too, like, oh my gosh, we all know like certain times of the year are amazing for tomatoes, and use them and have fun with it. And other times you're like, okay, why did I even buy this? And just avoid a few things: the corn, white potatoes, iceberg lettuce. And then we always talk about dinner being a colorful plate. That's a really big deal. If you follow that rule and you get just assortment of vegetables and things that are colorful, you'll make amazing food. So I buy extra. Everything I make, when I do dinner, I don't find that it makes sense for me to make dinner and have dinner and not make extra for meal prep for following days. Like, it's just silly. I'm making a mess. I may as well make a bigger mess and just have to clean up once instead of have to clean up every single time. And I think this is where a lot of people think that meal prep is harder than it should be. They're sitting there and they're making all these one-off meals when, if you're making dinner, just make extra. And the only thing I do different at dinner is I don't eat carbs at dinner. So I won't start making brown rice or quinoa or something till after I'm eating my meal. Because I know that if I'm making it before, I'm going to eat it. Like, I'm not strong enough to be like, it'll start with one little spoon, then a couple spoonfuls, and all of a sudden I'm having a whole plate of rice. And it's like, okay, not good. So real quickly, these are some ingredient choices that I moved from one non-healthy to one healthy choice. And they're simple: butter to chicken broth. Like, I use chicken broth on everything. It really makes a difference, and it adds flavor, and it makes things not stick. So chicken broth is like my very favorite thing. I buy it in voluminous amounts. Pasta versus veggies. They have these new like twisting, I don't even know what they're called, but they're awesome little things that can make noodles out of veggies. I also use a mandolin, which is a blade that has other blades that you can insert into it, so you can make noodles out of zucchini, squash, carrots, anything. And I always consider, I love pasta, and recently I found, through the help of a friend, Janine, I found this vegetable pasta that's made of mung bean and edamame that is to die for. They have it at Sprouts, so we'll go look at that. But that stuff's incredible. I use that all the time when I want pasta because it's got around 23 grams of protein to like 16 grams of carbs, where most pasta is like 35 grams of carbs to 4 grams of protein. So pasta doesn't normally make sense at all for dinner. So anyway, I make veggies.
Do you boil that, or do you?
So these actually I just cook in a pan real quick because they cook so quick when they're cut up like that in a little chicken stock. So my noodles I'll just cook just really quickly, seriously 2 minutes on a medium-high pan, done. Yeah, they're so amazing. My kids will eat them when I make them in like a lo mein fashion with Asian flavors, and I'll do it over marinara. And I say over because I really do mean over, like plating presentation. If you guys see any of my stuff on Facebook is really important to me because it's got to look good for me to be excited about eating it. So I'll put the marinara on the plate and then put the noodles on top. And I'll show you some pictures of that later. But yeah, just real quickly cooking. You don't have to kill them. They're so beautiful the way they are. The texture is different because they're already very thin. Carrots and onions are the only ones that need a little bit longer. And then heavy whipping cream, which again, this time of year, if I'm making a stroganoff or something, oh my gosh, I love stroganoff, but I'm going to substitute Greek yogurt, a little skim milk, some other things to make that creamy sauce, and really cut down on the calories and fat by like hundreds and hundreds of calories per meal. This is another one that was so funny. Kevin brought a bottle of this in the other day for Jody's daughter, but these yogurt dressings, they're incredible. They taste great. They give you all the flavors you normally want, but they're made from yogurt instead of heavy cream and buttermilk, and they're amazing. And like 45 to 35 calories per portion. And then salsa is my other favorite dressing application. Making your own dressing, it's really one of the most simple things, and you can make it out of anything. So you can take fruit that you have left over. You can take, Asian flavors, and I just take a little mustard, a touch of olive oil, and some vinegars, and boom, just whisk it up. You have a dressing, done. And if you want to really lower the calories, you cut out most of the oil, and those things have almost no calories. So you can really dress a salad beautifully, and just, it's inexpensive, and it's fun. Eggs versus egg whites. I know that's like my number one meal prep thing is egg whites. I'll do a little bit of cheese sometimes because I've cut out the yolk. And I'll often add 1 egg into a scramble of whites per portion that I'm making because I make up big portions. Like when I'm making my meal prep at night, I'll meal prep a bunch of eggs because I love eggs. I think they're one of the best, easiest, just most delicious things. So I'll put a touch of olive oil in the pan because I'm cutting out most of the fat, so I'm okay with a little bit. And I'll spray it if I really want to make sure I minimize the exposure, and pour the egg whites so they don't stick. And then I'll add 1 egg per, again, rough Tupperware container I'm going to be doing. So tons of egg whites, the eggs, and then salt and pepper. I'll add salsa, do other fun things to dress it up of low-calorie nature. Any veggies I have left over from making dinner, I'll just toss them in. And then a touch of cheese, again, because I've cut out most of the fat. And just makes it fun. This is what I was talking about with the mandolin. My favorite thing. And then a good knife, keeping it sharp. And those are the basics. So, all right. Steamer and grill. Forgot about that one. Real quickly, grilling things and steaming things are great ways of reducing calories. Like I only cook chicken thighs on the grill. I never do them in a pan. When they're on sale and $1.99 a pound at Sprouts, I only do them if I'm going to grill them because all that fat leaches out into the grill and burns off. If you do them in a pan, you're just keeping all the fat there, and it doesn't really make sense. So chicken breast, I do in a pan. Thighs, legs on the grill. Bacon versus turkey bacon. Okay, so when we go to the store later, this is the place where you make or break it. Like, whatever you buy, you will eat. So if you are at home and you see a bag of chips, what are you going to do with it?
Throw it away.
What? That's amazing. Okay. What do you think most kids are going to do?
Eat it.
That's right. But if they weren't there, do you think your friends would eat it? If they weren't at the house, would they eat the chips? If they didn't have any at their house.
Yes.
How would they eat them if they're not there?
I don't know.
They wouldn't, right? So this is one of the things I always remind myself of is if I buy it, I'll eat it. And we can't kid ourselves at the store and say, oh, well, I'm just, I'm going to save this because, like, come on. I like chips are a struggle of mine. Some people, it's ice cream. You have like 1 scoop and you're like, I'm just going to have 1 scoop. And all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm just going to have 1 more. By the time you have 2, you're like, heck with it. I screwed it up anyway, and then you eat the whole container. It didn't save you any money buying a bigger container. So whatever you buy, you'll eat. If you buy some ice cream, buy just a teeny little container. But there's so many good healthy options that you know, if you give yourself those choices, it makes it easy and you don't screw it up. So, okay, here is the beginning of appetizers. So this is one of my favorite appetizers, and you can pretty much make it year round. But when I consider healthy appetizers, a couple of things. I want them to be simple. Most of them, I don't want to worry about how hot they are or cold they are, especially if I'm going over to someone's house. Like the other night, we went over to a party at someone's house, and they're like, bring an appetizer. And, you know, this is really easy. So simple ingredients, some fresh basil, which is probably the most expensive thing you're going to put on there, because like that little 1 ounce container is like $3, $2, I don't know. But some fresh basil, some fresh chopped tomatoes, and then the buffalo mozzarella. And it's really easy. You just take it in a mixing bowl. Yes, sir.
Is this like what's it called? It's Italian.
It is. It's kind of like caprese, exactly. These are the same elements of caprese, except for they're putting it on bread. That's very good. So you chop up the tomatoes, and you chop up the mozzarella, and you toss it with just a little bit of olive oil, maybe a little balsamic vinegar, some salt and pepper, and you can just leave it in the mixing bowl, bring it over to your friend's house, and then top it on some sliced baguette. Now it's nice if the baguette's toasted, you can toast it, and I'll literally put it into like a Tupperware container, like a, you know, bigger Tupperware container and bring it with me, or in a Ziploc bag, and it's easy. Like boom, boom, boom. You just put them on there. No work, and it's clean. I mean, the carbs, yeah, little carbs from bread, but I mean, it's, you know, it's minimal. And this is definitely by far, to me, one of the best little appetizers for the holidays. Then, who loves chicken satay like with peanut sauce, right? So good. So, I love Asian food and Asian flavors in general, and for me, this is, again, one of the best. And what's great about chicken satay is, you know, when we first get it at the table, it's always hot for a moment, but by the time we eat all of it, it's not that hot, and it's still delicious. So even, again, same thing, like you can take these over to someone's house. I like to grill the chicken till it's not fully cooked and put it on a tray and then wrap it up, so when I take it over, I can finish it in their oven just super fast and then put it out. But peanut sauce is really simple. You take some peanut butter, about half a cup, with a can of light coconut milk. So coconut milk can be crazy on the calories, just crazy, but the light one, way better. I use this, we'll look at it at the store, but this agave nectar that's sweetened with stevia, and it's really low calories, and it's a great way to sweeten things up without hitting the aggressive amount of calories. Like honey and agave, they're high in calories still, so I'm looking, you know, ways I can offset. Some fresh lime juice and a little bit of low sodium soy. So you just mix all up, and the peanut butter is already creamy, like it takes no cooking. The only thing you're doing is grilling the chicken, but your sauce is done. It can hold, you know, hours before, the night before, you can make it up in a little container, put it in the middle, you're done. And people are going to be like, what did you do? Like, what did you put in this? It's so simple. And just the kind of ingredients most of us, you know, aside from maybe these two, we have everything else that we have easy access to. So I just make sure to, you know, go out of my way to buy that when I'm at Sprouts once in a while. And the light coconut milk should be really anywhere. And it's really simple. If you want to spice it up, red chili flakes. Boom. All right, lamb lollipops. This is like my very favorite. So we live in Colorado, the best lamb in the world. But Colorado lamb can be expensive, so New Zealand's a good second choice. And at Sam's Club, they sell the racks. You know, it's 2 racks in each pack, and they come like this, and it's seriously simple. What I do before I grill it is I'll either choose if I want to leave it whole and grill it as a whole rack and then slice it, or if I want to cut it up like this and grill it like that. But what I do is I marinate it with some olive oil, some fresh garlic, some rosemary, and salt and pepper, and I just let it marinate for, you know, a couple hours. Even the night before is fine. Throw them on the grill, and on the grill we're going to render some of the fat off and everything else, but it just gives a nice char because that oil and that extra fat like lends to the flames kissing the meat and making it amazing. And then these ingredients I blend up with just a little bit of olive oil. I don't know where my olive oil bottle is, but imagine a little olive oil right here, and I make what's called an aioli. And the mustard, the rosemary, the fresh garlic, oh my gosh, like a little red wine vinegar, it is to die for. Like, lamb and rosemary and mustard are just so incredible. And so I just take a little bit of that, and I either have a little bowl of it, or I just dollop a little bit on each of the lamb pieces, and they always fan out nicely on a platter if you do it that way, or if you have them more randomly placed with the sauce on the plate, but they always look good, and people freak out. And buying racks of lamb in the New Zealand at Sam's is not that expensive. But this is definitely one of those where you do want to do it fresh. You want to do it right away. You don't want to, this is not one I bring over to a house unless I'm going to have access to their grill, because the lamb you want hot. You want it nice and warm. But yeah, this is so good. All right. Another thing I love always, and not even just for parties, but I love making tacos out of lettuce. And tacos could have any form of flavor. It could be Asian profile. They could, lettuce wrap. It could be Southwest. It can be whatever you want. My favorite and most simple one that is seriously, these are the ingredients: corn, shrimp, Thai sweet chili, and a little avocado. That's all I do. Thai sweet chili is amazing. Now it's high in calories if you do a lot of it, but you don't need much. If you just watch it and a little chicken stock, it goes a long way. And this stuff is sweet and spicy and delicious. And oh my gosh, like, woo! People will freak out. And shrimp, you buy it, again, bulk. I always buy the uncooked shrimp, bulk, peeled and deveined. And boom, you just throw them on that with a little avocado, done. Now, if you want to make this Southwest, you could add some black beans in, some onions, not use the Asian flavors and just salt and pepper and make it a Southwest thing. You could add a little salsa to it. You could have fun. I mean, any of these dishes can be made in so many ways, so don't get stuck on like one thing. More the concept of like, okay, we could take a lettuce wrap. It could be chicken, not shrimp. It could be beef on those skewers earlier, not chicken. It could be shrimp. It could be veggies if you have vegetarian friends. So, just think outside the box, but think of the mediums. Like I walk along and I say, oh, romaine's on sale. Maybe I want to make some tacos, and I just start to work my way backward into what it is that I'm making. And then the ideas go on and on from there. Here are a couple of veggie ideas because more and more it seems like we all have vegetarian friends that come to the parties and they inevitably can't eat anything that you have. So just simply grilling some vegetables. Seriously, there's nothing to me tastier than just some well-seasoned grilled vegetables with a little olive oil on them. Veggies with a little hummus in little glasses. Those are always pretty, and it's so simple to do. You can buy the hummus pre-made. You can make your own if you want. It's not that difficult. There's a ton of recipes online. Here's some, chopped up beets on a little bit of endive. So the options are really limited. It's the beets, you can make a little Asian flavor, a little sesame, and just thinking outside the box. The other thing I consider too is like color contrasts. You'll notice in everything, there's always like, if I'm making a dish and I see that I'm going to use something green, I'm like, okay, I want something yellow or red or orange to kind of make it all look cool. Because again, I get excited when I see a plate and a dish that looks really pretty. I get super excited. Like, we'll look at some of these noodles, but I can't wait. I have some black bean noodles from that same company that does the mung bean and edamame that I'm going to do with some shrimp because they'll be bright and orange, and some peppers and onions, and I'm going to use that same Thai sweet chili and just make something fun with it, and just think outside the box. Like it's not peppers, maybe it's carrots, maybe it's whatever. Again, whatever's on sale. So many fun things you can do. Okay, this is one that a lot of people have talked about, and again, taking that same noodling thing. I wish I knew what it was called. Sorry, but I have one home. Still know the name. This was one of those where I bought tuna at Sam's Club. So they have these frozen ahi tuna, and they're saku block. They're cold smoked tuna, and seasoned them with salt, pepper, and sesame seeds, and then boom, seared it and sliced it. And again, a lettuce wrap. I did some of those carrots and then some onions, and that was it. Yeah, it's no problem. No problem. The other thing I always think about too are making mocktails. I do a lot of non-alcoholic drinks because my kids, I want them to have something fun to drink. I want those that don't want to drink. People need to be driving safe in the holidays, so there's always someone who's not drinking in the group when they're coming over, and making sure to make fun drinks. I just take a little of the aloe that mango aloe that we have that's so amazing. And I take sparkling water and I add any kind of fresh fruit that's seasonal in there. Raspberries do great, dropping color like frozen raspberries or blueberries. Make it look really well colored right away. But I always make a mocktail. Maybe I'll add mint, cucumbers. Like you can just have fun with it. But I always think about that mocktail element that is something really tasty that people look forward to drinking. That makes it fun for the parties. And then here's another example of just simple things like shrimp on a skewer, just grilled, marinated with a little Thai sweet chili, and then some grilled watermelon. You know, I love grilled flavors. Just the flavor of caramelization and char to me is a beautiful thing. So again, think outside the box with some of these things maybe you've normally done one way. Something that would normally be hot could be cold and vice versa. You know, just have fun with it. And to me, I always think of complementing flavors. So sweetness of watermelon with spiciness of arugula. Because the peppery arugula is really nice when you have something sweet to combat it. So yin and yang of flavors. And when we go through the store, we're going to talk all about that. But yeah, that's super fun. And then salmon, you know, I love salmon. I think it's a great product, and there's a lot of good salmon from a lot of different places. Some of it's not as good, but you can tell, and it usually tells you what the salmon's been eating and where it's from on the outside. But this is one where there's a lot of cool fruits that are seasonal, like persimmon was just available, doing something like that with your salmon. Like, think, again, just a little bit outside the box with that. And salmon, to me, just stands alone so beautifully. It has good fat and richness, and when you grill it, it's like amazing. So I know I would take the same fruit and make, if I'm making a mocktail, out of that same fruit so that everything ties together so all the flavors are harmonious. So berries and salad, and again, arugula, the strawberries, sweet and spicy, just makes sense. And then chicken too. Of course, chicken can be any flavor you want. And when you do a marinade on chicken, don't worry about the fat content, because if you're grilling it, it's going to burn off and most of that fat's going to fall out. So I do a lot of oil marinades. I do a lot of things like that when I'm doing grilled meats, because oil, unlike in a pan, if I do 5 tablespoons, you know, if it's in a pan, that's crazy because each teaspoon of olive oil has 200 calories. Teaspoon. So when you start to overdo olive oil on accident in a pan, it gets crazy. It kills you. And people talk about olive oil is healthy. Well, it is in low quantities, but like, we're not talking about the way most people use it. People pound through olive oil. I mean, I used to, and it's amazing those fats in there make a big difference when you can just minimize them.
Isn't it better to cook with coconut oil too?
Coconut oil is great.
Because doesn't olive oil get broken down to where the healthy characteristics are actually taken down?
Well, like for example, extra virgin olive oil has a very low flash point, so most people cook it too hot, which does break it down and creates carcinogens and things. But coconut oil also still has very high calorie counts, so people just need to be conscious. Like, because some people really do get crazy, but I love coconut oil, especially with any of my Asian flavors, and it's healthy. But also watch your pan temperature, because if you've ever done it in a hot pan and all of a sudden, like, it's pretty exciting real quick. So I'm gonna real quickly, what time is it? I'm gonna go just through a couple other quick basic meal prep ideas. Does that sound good? And then we'll go to the store. Do you have any questions about anything? Because you guys have been just good listeners.
Are we gonna make some of the stuff that's on it?
I think your mom is gonna make it with you. Whatever it is you want. So being we don't have
Take notes.
a restaurant license and it's not, you know, we don't want to be prepping food in a place and chancing stuff. You know, we don't do anything with food here wise unless it's like a potluck and people are bringing it. But that's why we go to the store, just so we can see what's up and
Do
go
you
from
have
there.
those 3 recipes written somewhere, or just on?
See, I again, I don't do any recipes or teach
Do you-
recipes.
Do you
The only one is the
share
that I have is the
sauce-
chicken one.
The sauce.
for the sauce, yep.
or-
It is on Facebook, this
Okay.
one, but I could email it to you.
This is a weird question.
Like those things.
That's the only one I have. But these images, I can share any of these with
I
you.
was
With.
gonna say, like, could you send the slideshow?
Yeah.
Is that a random thing to ask?
No, it's no problem.
Just to like have, because I think, especially with me having kids, we get stuck in our same
Yeah.
stuff every week. So just having the visual of different ideas to just check back with.
For sure.
I wouldn't necessarily need a recipe, but like, oh yeah, strawberry tea. just something to get stuck in my head when I go to the store would be.
Totally, and that's what I love is like even save some of the photos on your phone when you have it, so you can kind of scroll through them and just start to say, oh wait, that fruit would go well with that, or like a fruit
Right.
with arugula, because it kind of pops to your mind.
Or like
thinking-
raspberries are on sale today, so I could do that
Totally.
with that.
Mhm. A couple crock pot basics. So I love crock pot cooking. I think it's the freaking best, and it's just inexpensive and easy, and a set and forget. Like I love waking up in the morning and smelling my house because I always prepare it the night before, so it has all day to sit and get ready for me that following night. And can anyone tell me what celery, carrots, and onions is to mix together? What's it called? Do you
It's
know?
called salsa. Or no, pico de gallo.
No. It begins with an M. Mir. Do you know this?
Marinara?
No, you're close. Mirepoix. Mirepoix.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
knew
the
you
base
did
of all.
that.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised. He's known a lot. Like I wouldn't have been surprised. But this is like the basics when you're making soup, when you're making any base sauce. Celery, carrots, and onions. When you start browning them together, like seriously, if your home is up for sale, instead of baking cookies, like brown some carrots, celery, and onions and just throw them in the oven. They're like, oh, people smell. What are you cooking? I'm like, I just cooked onions, celery, and carrots. They're like, so, but they are like the best base flavor. So basics of crock pot cooking, those are the kind of things I have. And think about how inexpensive, carrots, celery, and onions. They cost nothing. So start with my meats. I'll brown those with a little salt and pepper. Chicken I'll brown. And sometimes, when I have my chicken and when you get to that last day where it's good and you're like, oh, I haven't cooked it yet. And I bought all this stuff I plan on doing. Crock pot's perfect because now it's not going to go bad. You just start cooking it. So I'll just throw it in there. And then I fill always with chicken broth is what I do, or beef broth or mushroom broth. And I just fill above everything. Some people use water, but to get a lot more flavor, I use chicken broth because it has so much more to offer. And there's no calories, very little calories. I'll do meatballs. I mean, again, I crock pot everything. Like anything except for seafood, I cook in the crock pot. Asian-based flavors. So I also keep garlic in my house all the time, fresh garlic. I buy it either at Sam's Club in those big containers if I'm doing a lot of cooking in that month, or if I'm not, they have a little Ziploc container that has individually wrapped like about 8 cloves in each little thing, cryovac thing inside, just like this. And they're not expensive. And to me, it's about efficiency and not having to deal with slam the garlic head and then peel it and make a mess. No fun. So garlic, onions, green and white onions, or green and yellow, and carrots. Those are kind of base Asian vegetables. And then anything else can work. Cabbage, works great. You can take any vegetable that you see, but those are the ones I think as flavors go make sense. And then I always buy low sodium tamari. And then there's so many sauces, and I'm going to show you when we go to the store, but any of these, they may be a little higher calorie to start, but I used to use seriously like half a bottle or a whole bottle when I would make our dishes as a family. And now I use like a quarter of the bottle, which saves me a lot of money because those things are like $6, but they're amazing. And then I use chicken stock to make it spread the flavor. So it may not be quite as concentrated, but it's delicious. It's awesome. And the calorie count's like way down. So with some of those Mexican dishes, I think we'll get to some Mexican ones here in a moment, but another great way is take some of those flavors you may like and just cut it. And then you can get more stuff out of it. Italian flavors, olives, lemon, onions, capers. Simple. So here's Mexican style flavor. I'll take any vegetable to have, but always onions, often tomatoes. And then I threw all these things in a crock pot, just some green chili. That one was in a jar, but sometimes like the other day, I took the little cans of Hatch green chilies that's diced up already, threw them in there, chicken stock, a little bit of salsa, and the chicken, onions, and carrots, and boom, like that was it. And then later I put in meal prep some black beans. I was done. I mean, it literally took me no time. I didn't even brown the chicken, which is not normal. I usually brown everything. But it just was a time thing, and it was easy. It didn't take me any work. I opened up the package of chicken and plopped it in there. Threw the can of the Hatch green chilies, threw the chicken stock in, And I always wait on stocks. I don't season anything but the vegetables I'm browning or the meat that I'm browning because I don't ever season the pot because it reduces. And I can always add salt and pepper at the end. But it's one of those you never want to add in the beginning on those because it gets concentrated and you'll be like, I made a salty dish on accident the other day and it was, turned into soup. So here, always browning things because it adds flavor. Browning gives that caramelization and adds richness and depth. And I usually brown my meats first, and then I add in the veggies because the veggies pick up all those little bits the meat left behind that taste so delicious. And then I'll take my chicken stock and pour it in the pan afterward to deglaze it, to remove everything left in there and put it in there. And just the flavor is so much better when you brown. So again, I just fill it with stocks, whichever stock I want. I just buy them when they're on sale because they're like $2 usually for one of these at Sprouts. And like I said, seasoning at the end. So the last thing about meal prep, to me, that's very, very important is Tupperware. Gotta have lots of Tupperware, and it doesn't have to be fancy. I used to seriously buy the expensive click top, like really awesome Tupperware, and that's nice. But man, just buy the Ziploc ones and buy the same brand, same size all the time, so you don't have mix and match lids. You can never find it. Like I hate when you go. It's like the sock. Like I have all these cool socks. I'm like, really? Where did that match go? Like no one's wearing it. Like I don't know what happens. But same thing with Tupperware. So it makes it so much easier when you have all the same size, all the same lids. And then these containers have become much more affordable, but these 6-packs and others where you can take your food to work. So you just make those meal preps. You just grab a couple on your way to work. Boom, throw them in. You throw a little freezer bag in the side, and it's got you all day long. If you don't have a fridge at work, this is a really great, easy way to take your meal prep with you. And then again, just make a lot. Like everything I make, I just make extra. You know, there's dinner, extra. I made extra. Here's, some meatballs. I made extra.
Do you
And so
freeze it or you just put it in the fridge? And
I
eat
just do it in the
during
fridge
week?
because I only do. Because my wife's eating them. My oldest son's eating them. My middle son sometimes. I'll make like 8-10 meal prep containers so each of us gets about one. I usually have 2 because they don't need as many of them as I do because they'll be at school or other things, and then everyone has one extra, and it's just done. And then when I make it again, like a night or 2 nights later, I just make extra of everything. We have a lot of people eating it at our house, but I freeze things once in a while. I never find I enjoy them quite as much for me. But some people, if you enjoy it, like try it because it's less work for sure. So again, just simple. I took my favorite sauce, this biryani sauce, super high in calories. It's like 70 calories a portion, which wouldn't seem that bad, except for in this little jar like this big, it's like 10 portions. So I just use a little bit of that with my chicken stock, and then veggies I had around in chicken. It was so simple. Zucchini is always inexpensive, makes it really affordable. So just, get creative, and here's exactly what turned out. My biryani and meal prep, and then all I did was make brown rice to add to that, and I was done. And then you'll see here I talked about plating, but always sauce underneath. On a lot of these, it'll make your dishes look so much more attractive. When you put your marinara down, then this is spaghetti squash. Right on top, spaghetti squash is another one of those that's inexpensive, easy to prep. And spaghetti squash you can microwave. Has anyone ever microwaved it before? Have you ever roasted it or made spaghetti squash? So I made spaghetti squash for the first time about a year ago, and I read that you could microwave it. So I was like, okay, awesome, that'll be easy. Instead of taking an hour and a half to roast. So it said poke holes with a fork. So I poked holes with a fork. I put it in the microwave, and I microwaved it. While I'm sitting there cooking on the oven, making this very dish, and all of a sudden, boom, like it flipping exploded out of the microwave. So apparently when they say poke holes, they mean like all the way into the center, just in case you were wondering. So don't be shy about it, or you have a really fun mess to clean up. So zucchini squash is awesome. And when I meal prep too, the other thing I do is I'll throw frozen vegetables into my containers, but I don't cook them again. So until they're microwaved, because they're already cooked, they're already par cooked and then flash frozen. So if you cook them again, you're like cooking them 3 times. They're cooked once when they were packaged, once in your pan, and then once when you microwave the meal prep. So I take frozen veggies and just stuff it right in the meal prep containers and close it up. And the last thing I do in every container, and you can see the liquid here, and you'll see on some of the other side ones, is I add chicken stock into every dish that I do. And this, because did you and I talk about dried out food the other day, or who? No. Someone was asking me about dried out food and meal prep, but it's one of the biggest ways that I avoid dried out meal prep is to put some chicken stock in the dishes, not just noodles, anything. So everything I make, I add a little chicken stock into every container, and it keeps the moisture. When I heat it, it steams, and everything's beautiful because everything dehydrates in the fridge. When you have anything left in there, it just dries out. So that's why chicken, some things taste so bad. When you reheat them, you're like, oh, this is just terrible. It's because they're dried out. So adding moisture is big. And then, again, whoa, I'm going backward. Just keep it simple, nothing crazy. Like I said, these are all the ingredients that were in that dish on the last one. Like literally this is it. And I had some leftover spinach, so I rolled it up and cut it so it looked pretty. Like it looks awesome, but it was just simple. Just grilled chicken. I used dried herbs, just whatever I had in there. That was probably parsley, little granulated garlic, salt and pepper. Boom. And just keeping it really easy on yourself will make you want to cook more. You'll be more excited about cooking. And the best dishes, when you go to these incredibly expensive, amazing restaurants, the best dishes are simple. They'll have like 5, 6, 7 ingredients, and they just pick good seasonal ingredients, and they put them together without ruining them, without overcooking them. So here's another lettuce wrap idea. Salmon with some edamame salad. Again, just keep it simple. This last one, and I talk about this every time, is my favorite thing ever. So I love eggs. I already talked about how much I love eggs. And in Italy, I had this amazing dish where they make a ravioli and they put an egg yolk inside, and then they slowly cook the ravioli. So when you cut in, the egg yolk's still runny, and they drizzle a little olive oil, and the egg yolk makes the sauce. And they also shave fresh truffles like right over the top, and it's angels start singing. So I was craving that experience, but fresh truffles are like $1,800 a pound, and definitely weren't in the budget for me making a meal. So this was simple. I took these veggies, again, just the veggies I had in my drawer. I really didn't plan it out. It was just I had zucchini, I had squash, I had carrots, the shredded ones. My daughter loves those bags of shredded carrots. Some onions, and I had asparagus, and I wanted to use it up, so I made noodles, put them down. You can see the chicken stock there that I used to cook in those, so I cooked them all in just a little bit of chicken stock. And then I poached the eggs real quickly in vinegar, salt, and water, and then when they were cooked and still soft, I just put them over the top. And I don't know if you've ever bought those fun salts, but like I have pink salt and black salt, smoked salt, and all these different kinds of salts, and they last forever. Like, it's salt, they're not going bad. And I just use that on top, and then some truffle oil. Cut into my egg, and it made the sauce, and it's pretty good. It wasn't Italy, but it was I don't know, like not even $1 worth of eggs, $3 worth of veggies, and then the truffle oil is the only expensive thing. And it was fun, and it was delicious and clean. And you see all of these, no carbs at dinner. I'm not making carbs at dinner. I do make carbs, and I have them at lunch when I eat my lunch meals, but just not at dinner. And you'll sleep better, you'll feel better, your body composition will be better. Everything's better when you cut out those carbs at dinner. It's just where a lot of people make mistakes. So I could keep going on, but this just gives you some good basic ideas. This is like taking pizza and making pizza out of zucchini and a caprese on top and just baking it. So food should be fun, it should be simple, and these are the basic things I'd like to recap. Number 1 is shifting into chicken stock for almost everything, or some kind of stock will spread everything out. Like any flavor you put in there, anything that you like that's high calorie, you can put a little in and then have it go a lot further. And it's just a great way to cook things. It reduces in flavor. It's awesome. Buying what's on sale first. I start in protein and let the protein dictate my dish. If the protein is on sale, then I move over to produce and I find what's on sale next. Like I hit the lettuces and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, is there any salad on sale or anything? Am I going to do a salad? And then I look at peppers and onions and squash and zucchini. And cooking clean is really actually affordable. It's only when you go out and you're like, I'm going to buy this tonight, I'm going to buy filet, or I'm going to buy salmon, and salmon tonight's $15 a pound. your dinner is going to be like going out to eat almost. You know, and it's like when you do that, you're like, I should have just gone out to eat and spent a little more, had no dishes and had no cleanup. But most of these meals you see cost no more than $4 or $5 a portion at most, and that's for the fanciest ones when I'm adding all kinds of ingredients. You know, the rest of them, feeding my family, you know, for like $3 or so a portion, you know, $4 a portion. It makes sense to me, and it's quality, fresh ingredients that I have control over, you know, that I feel good about, and I love cooking clean. So, and then making it look good on the plate. Like I think that's the other thing. Just think about it when you put it on the plate. Think of the colors, and then the rest of it's easy. And you know, like you were saying, there's some stuff you made that wasn't so good, but it helps you not make it again. You can screw it up on the way. You're gonna overcook something, whatever, you know. But you never do it. Well, hopefully, I've done it twice, a couple times, but you know, not too many more than twice, and it just gets better. Any questions?
So we're going to the store tonight?
Yeah, right now I usually yes, sir.
What store are we going to? Sprouts?
Sprouts is the one I like to go to. Is that cool with everyone?
Yeah.
Where do you live? Where do you live?
I live in Littleton, like Broadway and Super.
Oh, cool. Where do you live?
Towards Southwest, off of Arapahoe.
And you live? Did I see you message me from Lone Tree? Is that where you live, or is that where you work?
We live in Highlands Ranch. We don't have a post office over there.
Because where I'd love to go, if it's okay, my favorite Sprouts is the one on Lincoln and I-25.
Oh yeah, that's the one that we went to.
Which for you is a touch out of the way, but then you could shoot down Lincoln to Parker. Is that okay?
Okay, but I don't know where that is.
You follow? Yeah, you can follow me.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do in case we get separated, but is you'll drive down to Lincoln, so just past 470. You'll turn right on Lincoln.
Good. Okay.
So I-25 south to Lincoln. And then we'll turn right on Lincoln, and it'll be on the left-hand side. As you come down the hill, you'll see Sprouts, Target, Runner's Roost. You'll see all that on the left. But just follow me, and I'll give you my cell phone if you get lost.
Wait, sorry.
You're
Okay.
fine.
So I'm gonna get on the freeway,
Huh?
which is trying to think where we're at here. It's like off of Arapahoe, right?
No, we're going to go right here off of Orchard. Just jump on Orchard and get on the freeway, head south on
I don't know how
I-25.
to get from here to Orchard. Okay.
Yeah,
You know what? Maybe I'll
Yeah, just
just
follow
put
me.
it in my phone. Oh, or I didn't bring my phone. Okay.
we'll make sure we don't lose you.
Do you know where's Marriage?
No.
I was gonna say, well, because that's like only 25 too.
I-25. Okay. And there's a Kaiser over there? Is there a Kaiser over there? No. Okay.
I'm not sure. There could be.
I don't know. So
But basically, if you get on I-25 south
to
to
Lincoln.
Lincoln, it's pretty direct. As you get off and you head west.
I'm gonna go right.
And if you pass Target, you've gone too far. It's in that same left.
So when I get off the